welcome to the Fiber Tales podcast. My name is Lærke and I'm coming to you from the southern part of Fyn in Denmark, where I live with my partner and my little girl who's 3 years old, and we have another one coming in the winter, and we live in a small house next to the forest in the countryside. We just moved here a couple of months ago and I love it so much. Now that fall is arriving, I've been out picking some branches from the ground because they just fall down, and the colors are changing. When I look out the window from where I'm sitting, I can see that the browns and yellows and golden colors are starting to creep in, and I just love those colors. If you follow me on Instagram, where I'm also Fiber Tales, you will see that I have a love for this kind of golden brown, cinnamon, fall themed colors. So yeah, I'm really enjoying. It's been rather cold and windy, but today the sun is shining and it's just really nice to have a sunny day. I hope you've been well since the last time we spoke. There has been a couple of reasons why I haven't been able to podcast before, because I really wanted to podcast. I actually have a lot to talk about, but mainly the reason is that not the last time I uploaded, but the time before, I realized that for this house we have a different internet subscription. We have a different internet subscription, and so it's like a wireless internet, because the house is really old, so we couldn't get anything through the cables. They were just in too bad conditions. But it also means that I actually uploading videos that are quite heavy. I used up all the all our monthly internet, so that was not fun. And so it's stopping me a little bit from uploading. I mean, I could record and then just upload it at a different time, which probably will happen. I think I will upload it on Sunday. It's the last day of the month, so if anything goes wrong, if I use up all the internet, it won't be such a big deal, because then it will start from the first again. What happened is they just put down our the quality by a lot, so we couldn't. Pretty much we do everything. We don't have a TV, so if I want to watch a movie, it's always on Netflix, online. So it was not that nice when they put down the quality and we couldn't watch any TV or anything. So I'm trying to figure out how I can deal with this. Maybe try to upload from a cafe or something, but I haven't been going to the city this week, so we will see. And other than that, I'm actually home alone. I've been home alone since Wednesday. I guess I shouldn't say this on the podcast, because what if somebody watches and comes here? But don't worry, I won't upload this until I'm not home alone anymore, so it doesn't really matter. But it's always an experience to be home alone when you're really far away from everyone, and with a 3-year-old, and she actually got sick. Of course she got sick, as it happens. It was nothing major, but she got kind of cough. It's like a barking cough it's not dangerous, but it can, for some children, it will kind of close up the respiratory system. So I was not sleeping that much because I kept checking on her all the time. Every time she coughed, I had to go and check on her, because that's how it is to be a mom. You just worry too much, and when I'm alone, it's just me being on call, so I relax a little bit less. But it's all been good, and it wasn't that, she didn't have a fever even, so it wasn't that bad. I just worried much more than I probably should have. But first time mom, right? I haven't tried it before, and any kind of cough that sounds different and weird, it freaks you out. So I've been really busy, except from the whole single mom thing because I have to take her by bike to the kindergarten every morning and pick her up again, and it actually takes a lot of normally we would split it between my partner and I, who would drive her there and pick her up, so I have had less time to do my work, and yeah, I feel quite busy and a little bit behind on all the things I want to do, on all the designing. And of course it's the time of year where I don't know what happens to my head, but I have so many design ideas, and even though I should finish up this design or that design, I just keep spitting out casting on new things and start designing new stuff. So I'm trying to not stop myself, because I think if I have an idea I should try to work on it a little bit, at least to, yeah, so I don't forget about it. I should do some sketches, and on the other hand I really need to finish up my my current designs. I've been quite busy doing some resizing of some of my first published patterns, because when you start out as a designer, it's really daunting, the whole grading and figuring out everything, and I think it's inevitable that there will be some mistakes unless you have some help, and I didn't really have help in that way, or any, at least not from other designers or someone who could explain how to do it. So actually my very first pattern, I have it here somewhere, where did I put it? It's this hat. I've been knitting this hat for years. It's I named it Jordi hat. So it's just a simple colorwork hat with a very simple colorwork, very graphic. And I made this, I think I talked about it before on the podcast, but I started making this to sell on, I think it was on Etsy. So I sold a couple of them, but it takes too long to knit it, even though this one is knit on a size 5mm, which of course I cannot remember at the moment. Yeah, so I've been knitting this for a long time and I didn't have any problems with it. But when I wrote down the pattern, there was one thing that bothered me quite a lot, and I could see from comments, people who were knitting it up and so on. The thing is, I knit this in drops, I think Lima. It's an alpaca yarn, and what happens with alpaca is it stretches quite a lot over time, and so although for me the stitch count and the gauge was working, if you tried to knit this one up in a different yarn it just wouldn't work. I can show you. I actually have a pretty big head. I just checked and I have like a adult size large, even though it might not seem like it. My head is quite big, so this should fit. I just made it one size and it should fit then, I guess, everyone. And you can see I like my head to stay on the head because I am biking a lot, so I don't want it to be too loose and push up. And as you can see, I think it's quite okay. I mean, maybe it's a little tight on the colorwork, but it really fits me nicely. And I made this hat so many times and I never had any issues when I was selling it. But what happened is, yeah, from what I could see, people making this hat just had problems with the size. It turned out too small for a lot of people and people had to add in extra repeats and so on. So I've been thinking for a long time that, like, it was always in some kind of, how you say, I was feeling a little bit guilty not going back and revisiting this pattern because people would buy it, and of course it would work, but I really wanted it to work for other yarn types. Plus, as I talked about before, I'm not so crazy about drops anymore for various reasons. So I decided I bought some other yarn that I thought would work, have a similar quality to this one. It has a very clean stitch definition. And it's here. I knit it up, as you can see. The colors are a bit different actually. And of course this one has been worn, so it's a little more fussy. I knit it up again in Quince & Co. Lark. Let me just show you. This is the label. This is the canvas colorway, and I ordered it online, so it's hard to tell if the colors will be similar, but I wanted like a neutral, little bit beigey color. This one is much warmer than the one I originally used. And then I used this one, which is the apricot colorway, for the pattern. And let me just show again. As you can see, what happens is the pattern is a bit bigger on this one than it is on this one, but this one has more repeats. For me, it's okay. I think that's the beginning of the round, and I haven't completely finished it, but here you can see. And then I added a little bit of length to the top, because this one, if I don't remember correctly, this one is a worsted and this one is a sport. Doesn't say on the label. I don't think it says on the label. Well, I will put a link to the pattern page because I have uploaded it on Ravelry. But let me just try it on so you can see. So here we have the hat again. Without pom-pom, I still have to make the pom-pom. And yeah, this is the hat the second time around. You will notice it's a little more loose in the brim. I was a bit impatient when I started knitting it up, so I forgot to add in that I removed some stitches. So in the pattern I removed some stitches, so it's a little more snug. You could also knit the brim on a smaller size needles, like go down half a size to get it a little more snug, but I have a lot of hair if you can't see, so that's how hats work on me. So I re-knit it with more repeats and a little more length, but actually I just checked and it has exactly the same dimensions as the old hat. It's not as thick, the fabric here is a little more thick, but it doesn't really bother me that much because this one is wool and the other one is alpaca, and it's a bit, yeah, they're just different yarns. So yeah, I have to add on the pom-pom, and I made two sizes. So I made a adult size large and an adult size small, and as you can see, the large fits me really well, and if you have a smaller head, then I would suggest making the adult size small. What else in the pattern? I suggest that you can do a 2x2 tubular cast on, but when you do it with a when you have a 2x2 rib and not a 1x1, it kind of looks a bit different. I don't know, it's not as neat. And you can do like a normal long tail cast on, and I did that on this hat. And for me, I actually almost like this better now that I think about it, but I think both techniques are fine. They're a bit different. And this one I always cast on, if I do a long tail, I always do hold two needles together, so it's not too tight. But this one is a bit more flexible, I think. So there are two different options for casting on, and yeah, I'm really happy that I finally changed up things, and I also changed up how the pattern looked, because this one was like in a very primitive state. So I've been playing with InDesign, which has been a lot of fun, setting up the pattern, except that it's I think the program is a bit expensive, so I don't know if I will keep purchasing it, because it was a free trial. And my good friend, she taught me a little bit about how to use it, and she's the one who helped me set up the patterns in the first place, but I would like to be able to do it myself. Yeah, so the Jorde hat is out again. It's named after an island here close to Fyn, so on the southern part of Fyn. There are some islands. Wait, my hair is escaping. Yeah, so it's a really easy colorwork hat if you want to try out some colorwork and have a nice graphic hat. I think it's great for men and women. Oh, and I changed a little bit the increases, but it's just, yeah, I thought these were nicer. So I did a centered double increase. So that's that. Yep, Jorde hats. And I really liked working with the Quince & Co yarn. I actually only used one skein of 50 grams. Yeah, they're 50 grams for the hat and half a skein of the contrast color. So with 2 skeins you would have a hat. Except I had very little yarn left, so it's a bit of a yarn chicken challenge, but it was, I don't think it's a big problem. And I still need to make the pom-pom, so I have plenty of yarn left for that. Okay, so the next thing I've been working on for resizing is my Retour sweater. I mentioned this some episodes ago, or maybe last episode, that I was having it tested in some of the bigger sizes, because again, it was my first sweater pattern that I published, and yeah, there were only 3 sizes and I was not happy with the sizes after I looked at them again, so I decided to add in as many sizes as I could. I only managed to have it tested up until 2 extra large, so extra large, but I did the calculations for 3XL and 4XL, so I will include those in the pattern when it's out. And I will note on the Ravelry page that they have not been tested, so I think that's okay to do it like that, as long as it's clear that if you want to do the bigger sizes, they have not been tested, but they have been tech edited, so they should be okay. Just that I don't know how the fit exactly will be. I would really have preferred to have those tested, but since they were not, that's just how it is. I could also not include them, but I just thought that was silly since I did all the calculations, and maybe someone will be happy that I made them. So it's always a little ongoing discussion for me what I do with the bigger sizes. I think though in the future I won't be doing the 4 and 3XL because I can't find testers for it, and I'm not really selling, how do I say, it doesn't seem like I'm selling for those sizes anyway, but maybe if I start noticing people asking me for those sizes, I will do them again. I don't know. It's a really, I really want to include as many sizes as possible, but it's also a lot of calculation, and if it's not where I'm, if I put a lot of time into it but don't really gain anything, it's not really worth my time. Yeah, all the testers are done with the Retour, with my 2-color brioche pattern, and I'm just waiting for the tech editor to do a last revisit, and then I will upload it to Ravelry. So if you bought it, and I notice people keep buying it, so if you bought the pattern, please don't start if you want to do one of the bigger sizes. So wait a moment, and it will be uploaded really soon. I hope to have it out really soon, both in Danish and in English. The Jorde is only in English for now, and I've been asked a couple of times also about my skovmærker design sweater, I wanted to say, and that one is also coming in Danish at some point. I'm just, as I said, I've been a little busy, and I'm trying to release the patterns first in English because I think that's where, or from what I can see, that's what I sell the most, so Danish will come. Yeah. Okay, enough about patterns, and I will talk more about patterns, but enough about, I just wanted to talk about the resizing because I think it's really important also for designers to sometimes revisit old patterns and be critical of old work. It's it's like double work in some ways, because I had to kind of get back into the pattern, open up all the calculations, redo it all. But I'm learning from it, and I think if I want to sell something, I should be able to stand by it 100%, at least with the skill level I have right now. And that's the thing, once you get better at things, and maybe at grading and at figuring out sizes and so on, I think it's a good idea to go back and check the patterns and fix them if it's needed, if it's necessary. So let's talk about some... Oh, I wanted to mention what I'm wearing, because I mentioned it's a big woolly sweater, and I think I've talked about it before. It is a very oversized grandpa sweater. There's so much yarn in this one. It is very warm. And actually it's one of the only things that still fit me now that my belly is getting... One of the only sweaters, because I tend to do them a bit more fitted, and yeah, my belly is getting bigger, and this one still fits perfectly. It's a cable sweater. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's cabled all around, if you can see. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's called the Must-Have Cardigan. And I made it longer, and I left out some of the cabling on the sleeves. I think it had one of these cables as well on the sleeves, and I just thought it was too much. I prefer the sleeves to be a bit more simple. I'm not a big fan of really heavy cabling, at least not at the moment. I prefer a little more simple. And I really love the colors of this yarn. It is a speckled yarn with the black and like beigey warm toned speckles on this oatmeal color, and it's I wish it was 100% wool, but I had to buy a lot of yarn for this, and when I made it I was still a bit yeah, I didn't want to spend... It was a lot of money to spend on yarn, and I wanted it to be washable, so it's actually a super wash, because I made it when I just had my little girl, I think, and she was spitting up a lot, and I was just thinking, I'm not like washing this thing in hand would be a nightmare. So I made it in super wash, which I wouldn't have done today because I have a little bit different view in super wash. It's a Hyldebær yarn, and I don't remember the name, but I have a Ravelry page, so I can link that one. Yes. Okay, so let's get on to some of the knitting. I have a basket here where I collected some of the stuff I've been knitting on. Let me just see if I can dig out the first little project. And before I start talking about this one, I will just be gone for a second and pick the... I finished one already. Okay, I just realized I was melting, so the sweater came off. It's finally, the house is finally warming up with the sunshine. So last time I talked about this little star I was making, and it's done. And I think it's just so cute. This one, again, is a free pattern on Ravelry. Don't remember the name at the moment. It's called Stjerne, something Stjerne, I think in Swedish, and I will just put a link for it. I just went down the stairs and I'm so out of breath, it's ridiculous. Okay, pregnancy. Yes, so I finished one little star. They're a lot of fun to do, and they're identical on both sides, which I find so satisfying. So I can explain you a little bit more about the pattern. You have to knit this with 6 DPNs, so it's can be a challenge if normally you only have 5 DPNs of any size, but I actually had a lot of these old DPNs from my mom or grandma or someone. Many of them are a little bent out of shape and not that great. But so what you do is you pick up a certain number of, I think 100 something stitches, and then you knit in, and you do the the center double decrease, something like that, And once you reach the middle, you pick up the stitches and then you start knitting the other way. So you do the same star on both sides, and it looks like this while you're going. And then when you reach the middle again, you close it. So you can see it has the same center on both sides, and you stuff it and then you close it. You want to stuff it first. And it's a really fun little project to do. It's a little fiddly at some points because you have a lot of needles and you kind of get into the middle. But it's a fun little palette cleanser. Like sometimes I just, I don't want to think. And this one, once you have it set up, I don't have to think. So yeah, pretty much just goes. And I'm knitting in this old yarn, which I don't know exactly what is. So it's just something I have from my mom or grandma. And it's like a, I think it's a linen yarn. So they're a lot of fun to do, and I'm planning to make a lot of them so I can hang them in my windows and they will look cute in the winter for Christmas. So that was my first, that's actually a finished object and work in progress. I wanted to talk about, I'm working on the Lopi sweater as well, but I ran into some problems because it's a yoke sweater, and I don't know what happened when I had to separate for sleeves and body. I just keep having the wrong numbers, and now I'm at a point where I just I don't want to show it. And again, it's a design, so I'm not. I won't be showing too much before it's done. Then I've been working on these. I have a lot of like designs in progress that I'm for some reason not completely happy with. As you can see with this one, it's not on the needles anymore. It's the yarn I showed. Did I show it last time? Or did I buy it after? Oh, I might have bought it after. Then I will also show you. Yeah, I did some yarn shopping. I just kept thinking that I wanted to record, so in my head I already talked about this, which I probably haven't. This is a yarn from, how's it called? Camarose. It's a Danish yarn brand. It's a summer wool, so it's a wool cotton blend, and it's organic, and I really like it. Yeah, and I'm knitting up these, it's supposed to be baby pants, and I'm using this textured, wait, I'm blowing completely out. Yeah, it has this really wonderful texture that I'm feeling I really like. The problem is I was trying to do short rows on the back. As you can see, it's a bit longer. For the bum, it's for the baby pants. And the pattern has a 4 row repeat, and for some reason, or not for some reason, because when you're doing short rows, you go back and forth, and it worked fine until I'm going back over the stitches. But then some of the for some of the parts, the pattern is at one stage, and some of the other parts it's in another stage, and then it wouldn't, I couldn't keep going, and I'm just really annoyed with it right now. So I needed the needle for something else, and I pulled it out, and anyway I have to rip back and maybe omit the short row shaping, but I really wanted to do short row shaping, or I have to do another textured pattern, and I really like this one. I think it would be adorable for a little boy or girl, but I'm trying to, I have a little more focus on boyish yeah, things that work for boys, and I think I really like textured fabric for boys, so it doesn't have to be that boring, but has some interest. Anyways, yeah, I ripped back. Now my hair is escaping again. Yeah, I don't know what I think this one I will have let it rest for a little bit, because I have other designs I need to work on, and actually I predict that for the next month I will be really busy because I have something happening. I need to knit on something that's really exciting. So these are the baby pants that I really like, and I really love working with the Camarose yarn. I will actually get it, and if I showed it already I will cut it out, but if I didn't I will add it in. Okay, I'm back. I don't think I showed this on Instagram. I think that's why I'm confused if I talked about it. but I got some balls of Geilsk yarn, which is a Danish yarn brand. It's the tweed yarn, and it is in the shade T2. It's a charcoaly grey with light grey and sometimes some brown, like, how you call them, tweed, tweed specks, like the Donegal tweed. I got it on, there was a sale in my, not anymore local yarn shop, was my local yarn shop when I lived in Odense. It's called Tante Grøn. They had these a little bit discounted, so I got 2 to make a little cardigan for the little boy coming. I think they're so adorable. And I will say this yarn, it's made in Ireland, and I think they had a green version and it looked pretty much exactly like the one I got from Resized, which I made my sweater in, my skovmærker sweater. It was identical, I think. I don't know if the thickness and so on is the same, but yeah, I think it might be. And so if you like that yarn and you are in Denmark, or for some reason it's easier to order this one, or you can get this one, I would say the green, they have a green shade that's really identical to the one I used for my skovmærker sweater. And that one is also made in Ireland, so who knows, maybe they're made the same place. So I got these 2, and I got the blue one of the økologisk sommeruld from Camarose, and I got 2 balls of this one, and I already knit up half the ball for the pants, and I think it would have been enough. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this one, but yeah, I think I'm gonna work on baby knits a little later in the year, because I have some other designs I really want to be working on now. Oh, and I got another one, which is their grey color, and I didn't get it other times because I don't know if you can see, I think the color is showing up pretty accurately, and for me this one has a blue tint that I don't particularly like. Looking for some grey yarn next to me just to show you. I don't have it. It's just has a bluish tint, and I prefer to have grey yarn that is grey, like without any undertone. So I've been waiting to buy this because I wanted to pair it with a like a rusty brown like this one, and I don't know if I like how it's gonna pair, but if I don't like how it pairs up with the yarn, I have it. I'm not gonna get it now. I have it in my stash. I will simply use this for something on its own because I think the color is fine. This is just a little bit too blue for my liking, but I got it anyway because I was in the shop and I might as well get it. But it's a really nice wool, and I love that it's very clear that it's 100% organic wool and cotton, and it's non-museling. What does it say? Non-museled wool. I really like when they're clear on that on the label. More yarn companies should be a little more transparent about how their wool is produced, I would say. Good. Then back to the whips. I have another whip that I've been showing for last 2 days. I just cast it on, and the reason I cast this one on is, as I said, I'm busy with other things and I shouldn't cast anything on, but I was biking and in the morning, and it's getting so cold. It's just, I don't know. So I cast on 4 pair of mitts because it's still not cold enough for gloves, I feel, and I don't have a pair of mitts. And I was looking on Ravelry and for a pattern that I liked, and for some reason I always, I like this one, but I wish it was a bit different, or I like that one, but I wish it was a bit different. So of course I always end up designing something. Yeah, it just seems sometimes easier for me to get what I want by designing. So it wasn't my plan to design. I actually wanted to find a pattern and just follow it so I didn't have to think, but didn't work out this time. I'm using my ball is really ugly. I don't know what happened when I was winding it. I'm using Tukuwool, which I got at EYF in the spring, and this is in the Uyo colorway, and it is a beautiful, beautiful movie pink, if I should. I think I know the Jan Gassen podcast, Kirsten, she also did a sweater in this, and I think she calls it mauve. I'm not quite sure what the mauve color is, but it's like a purpley, pinky, grayish color. I have two skeins, two 50-gram skeins that I got at Isolde Teague's booth at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. And yeah, so I've been working up. Let me just put it on. I'm not going to show you everything because I think I might write down the pattern. I am writing down the pattern. I can show you the inside because it's not giving too much away. So it's twisted rib and has a thumb gusset. And I cast off yesterday, and I don't know, there's something about that it's like flaring out, but on the other hand I should be able to spread my fingers. I think it's just the ribbing pulling it in. It's really weird showing your hand like this. But yeah, so I'm not sure. I might unravel the top and redo it, and I might change something about the pattern in the front as well. I'm not sure. But I think I'm really happy with it's very snug. I have very skinny wrists, if you cannot tell. I have no fat on my wrists, I don't know why. And small hands, so I think this would be a size small or extra small. Oh, this works much better. So I should just be holding it like this, but here you go. Yeah, I think it's a little too wide up here, but I don't want it to be too tight, so maybe if I tighten it a bit, this would be better. So a little more work, and I have to do the second mid and write down the pattern because it was a lot of fun to do, but I'm getting sometimes I want to write down patterns all the time. And that's also why I wanted to buy a pattern but ended up not doing that. So something I'm working on, and I really, really love this yarn. I think it's wonderful. It's the sock yarn. I didn't say that. It's the sock yarn from Tukuwool, and it's has a bit of polyamide, I think, or nylon for strength. And I think I actually bought it for socks, but I think it's really gonna be great for mitts because I'm biking a lot and it will get a lot of wear in the hands. So I think it will be great that it's has a little more durability. They also have a fingering, and if I had known I would use it for mitts, I probably would have bought the fingering, but this one is great too. Yep. So as you can see, I have a lot of stuff going on, and then I went into a yarn shop in Svendborg, which is the closest city to me now, and I didn't plan to buy anything, but I saw this one. And I've just shown you my big must-have cardigan, which is a tweedy yarn, and I guess by now you probably know I love tweedy yarn. This is, let me get the label. This is Alafosslopi from Istex, so from Iceland, and it is a pretty thick yarn. It's the big sister of the Alafosslopi from Istex that I think a lot of you know. And Alafoss is just a really thick, chunky yarn. I don't know if it's chunky, but it's at least, I don't know what yarn weight it is, it doesn't say. But it's for a size 5.5 to 6.5 millimeter needles. And I just got it to swatch with because... Let me show you the swatch. I have the swatch here. As you can see, it knits up really nicely and thick. And my plan is I want to make a poncho for the winter for two reasons. I am pretty big, so until January I will have a big belly, and I think a poncho would be great. And then I will have a little guy, and I like to do baby wearing, so I wanted to make a poncho with a hole in front for the baby's head, and I have looked on Ravelry for some patterns and didn't really like many of them. So again, I'm planning to just design something with this yarn. I think it would knit up quite quickly, but it's I don't particularly I don't really like knitting on big needles, at least not for a long time, like for a long stretch of time, for a long time at the time. Bah. Yeah, so I don't want to yeah, I just want to knit on it slowly. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't want to try to make it fast, plus it's still not cold enough, and I will have, as I said, for the next month I will be really busy with some design work, so this one is for future project, for the winter, when it's gonna be really nice to have some thick yarn, warm yarn to work with. So I'm actually working with 2 Icelandic yarns at the moment, with the Letlopi that I didn't, not the Letlopi, with the Plötulopi, that is the unspun that I showed you last time and didn't show you this time, and with Alafoss. Yeah, and then I have a finished object which I've been really excited to show you. I wanted to keep it secret a bit longer, but I don't know when exactly I will publish it, because I find it a little bit hard to do the chart, and as I said, I have other things, so for some reason it gets pushed aside all the time. But I will try to have it tested very soon. And here it is. It's I named it Hyldebær Shawl, and I talked about this a lot. Look, it's so big. I blocked it, and it's just wonderful. I named it Hyldebær Shawl because Hyldebær is elderberries, and these little knobs remind me of elderberries, and this is the time of year for elderberries, so I don't know, it was very fitting. It just made sense in my head to call it like that. So let me give you a sneak peek of what it looks like. The tassel looks funny because I have to weave in one of the ends, but I have made this. All the main body has the popcorn or the knobs, and then there's an applied border, which took me some time to figure out how to do it and get the shape I wanted, and I'm very happy because I got it so that it continues the shape, and it has tassels at the end. I think I'm very happy with how it turned out, and this is the one where I needed some extra yarn. This is what I have left. I just skeined it. So, yep, this is the Hyldebær Shawl. I'm so excited. It's my first shawl pattern, and I just really wanted a triangular shaped shawl with tassels and with something interesting happening. I don't know if I can show you. Okay, and as I said, I just have to weave in one of the strings. So there you go. And it's long enough that you can tie it around, for example, when I go biking. But it's also I like to wear it like open style, like a pashmina style. I want to show you the drawing I made, if I can find it, because it actually turned out pretty much how I wanted. I did a few changes in the pattern, but yeah, pretty much how I envisioned it. I left the border blank because it's blowing out. Yeah, so there you can see that was my first initial sketch, and this is how it looks like. And I'm so happy about it. I've been teasing a little bit on Instagram, and I didn't know if I should show all of the shawl, but I'm too impatient now. I have so many patterns coming out, and I really want to share it. And There was some talk about this looking like another shawl, the Together shawl by Pia Camarose, because she has very similar texture on top, which is a lot of little popcorn and triangular shaped shawl. But as I explained before, I imagined this design before I saw hers, and I still wanted to keep the popcorn. I think it's a very, let's say, it's not a very innovative design in the way you see popcorn everywhere, so I don't feel like I'm copying. I'm not copying anyone, but I'm saying it's not like she came up with a popcorn stitch and now I'm using it too in this way. I think it is its own thing with this applied border, which I'm really proud of because it just came together exactly as I wished. Yeah, I'm really happy with this design. I will do my best to figure out the charts, how to write them and have it tested so it can come out this fall. But again, I will be very busy the next month, so I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself because the pattern writing and the testing part takes a lot of energy from me. I don't know what it is, but keeping track of testers and the comments, and every time I get a feedback, which I'm really happy about, and my testers are really great, it's just I have to get back into the pattern again and my headspace. And when you have a child and I have 2 other jobs, I get, sometimes it's really, I can't focus on it at the moment, and then it just builds up like some kind of background stress for me, because I'm very new to the whole pattern writing, how it should be done, and so I always expect me to be wrong in some ways, and I guess I just have to be a bit more confident about it and not, yeah, take the time it takes. But it should be really nice with this one because it's for, how should I say, it doesn't have grading involved, which is one of my biggest headaches. I think a lot of designers hate grading. Some love it, but I think a lot hate it. So I will try to have this one out. I really hope you like it. It's been so much fun to knit, and it's really easy to knit actually. You just knit the body, and the applied border is, once you have started it, it's really easy to remember what to do, so, and read your knitting. So there you go. The Hyldebær Shawl. I think I'm at the end. I feel like I've been talking for a long time. Let me just think if there was anything else. Yeah, and just to add to the whole designing, writing patterns, I am working and almost done with the Fleer cardigan and the testing. There's just a little more work to do, having all the testers finished, and then I have to add their comments into the pattern and be sure there are no mistakes, and make some pictures, because that's one of the little bit difficult things to find time for. I need to get my partner to take the pictures, and with my little girl, if she's there, it's just not working. She's just too much of a 3-year-old right now, and she wants a lot of attention and it's not working. So I hope I can find a moment sometime soon, and then again find a moment when the weather is great, because I think I'm gonna get some great pictures, because the trees are turning really nicely brown and golden right now, and I think that would be perfect as a backdrop. So I'm working on the Fleer cardigan that I showed you previously, and then I will have this one coming out at some point, and some other exciting stuff to talk about in the future. But I will keep working on my mitt and baby pants and all those things. It was lovely to chat with you. I hope it wasn't too boring with all the design talk. It's just like, I feel like I tried to talk to my partner about this and he doesn't get it. I mean, he gets it, he wants to listen, but it's not like he's not in the same world, and I just thought it's nice to talk to you guys, because you're like my knitting buddies, and I hope you don't mind listening to all my blabbing on about designing and projects and yarn and stuff. So it's been really lovely. I feel like I talked to a friend for an hour, and I just really enjoyed every time. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me everywhere on social media as Fiber Tales. I'm not on Facebook, but Instagram and Ravelry, knitting social media. And I have a Cal running. I talked about that sometimes, but this time it was not so much about baby knitting. I will do the episode about baby knitting as I talked about, I promise. But you can join the knit along, the baby tiny knits Cal that I'm running. And if you haven't been into the group and to the work in progress thread and the finished object thread, it's really wonderful to see all the tiny knits, and it's a lot of fun. So please join if you feel like. You can also join on Instagram. And I think I don't have anything else to add about knitting. As I said, it was lovely to talk to you, and I will see you again soon. I hope to find some solution to my uploading problems, so I won't run out of I feel like I'm missing a word. It's not internet, it's how you say, oh god, yeah, whatever. I just have to find a solution for that, and then I can upload much more often. I really don't want to put the quality down, but that might be a solution to compromise the video more, or make them shorter. But I just want to talk for as long as I want to talk. Again, I really love doing these episodes. It's a lot of fun. So I will see you again soon, and take care. Happy knitting. Bye.